gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast after a week off last week. Yeah, it's sort of somebody go by. It's sort of it's kind of weird being back. I feel like it's been a long time since we've sat down and had a chat. Yeah. Actually, just but it was nice to see people.
Big couple of weeks.
Yeah, huge couple of weeks. But we did the Kinder Egg video in there, so if you haven't seen the Kinder Egg video, pop across and have a look. It was a lot of fun to do, and I think producer Caroline had a lot of fun editing it because it was quite long. The actual time it took. That made it look like really
concise.
Yeah, because it really wasn't.
No.
So, but it was nice to have people there.
It was.
We took a few people to have a look through the Esoterica studio here. People did their best impressions of Anthony and myself.
Didn't hurt our feelings too much.
No, that was way better than we were.
Yeah, it's actually really funny. Yeah.
All right, so beer of the week this week. So sticking with the theme, the beer of the week this week is...
It's Pepsi.
It's Pepsi.
Yeah, it's Pepsi.
Not New Zealand at all.
No.
Not a craft beer.
Pepsi is an American company.
It is.
It's a mega conglomerate.
Yeah.
Soda company.
Yeah.
Rife with human rights abuses. Not really a lot of good things I can say about Pepsi. Except for the fact that they gave Apple John Scully.
Yeah.
And then Apple fired him. Because he was rubbish.
It's all coming around.
Yeah.
So we're having a dry week this week. So
we are.
We're not drinking this week. So on the only scale that matters, Anthony, what would you give your Pepsi?
About a 4.
About a 4.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it about a 4 as well.
Yeah.
That's the lowest score I think we've given.
I think it is.
For beer of the week. It's not a great beer, to be fair.
I think it's missing a lot of the characteristics you typically find in a beer.
Yeah, decent soda, but
absolutely decent soda, but not a good beer.
Can really taste that alcohol content.
Yeah, can. Yeah.
So this week we're going to talk a little bit. We sort of had a bit of a think about this, and we're going to talk a little bit about change, because we've both had some big changes, or both been sort of reminded of big changes this week, sort of with people coming back through, friends of ours coming back through. Some as far away as Dubai, coming to spend time with us and that sort of stuff. And so we were having a little chat about change, and sort of it's interesting, isn't it? I always think about this, and I think and I'll take Craig as an example. Hey, Craig. Craig would never have imagined that he'd end up in Abu Dhabi, doing what he's doing and being incredibly successful at what he's doing and things like that. We'd have never picked it 2 years ago. When was it 2 years ago? Just over 2 years ago, he packed off, moved to London to go.
Well, went to America first.
Yeah,
Camp America.
Yeah, to go and do bits and pieces, and now he's working professionally in Abu Dhabi and loving it, which is fantastic. But it just made me think about this whole thing of, and I certainly have had plenty of times in my life, and I'm sure you have as well, had plenty of times in your life where you sort of sit there and you have your life mapped out, and you kind of think, this is where it's going to go, this is how things are going to go, and then 2 years from now you look back and go, oh, wow.
Yeah. I had no idea.
I never would have picked this. I never would have picked that this is what we'd be doing, or where we are. So change, Anthony.
I think it has to be one of the most exciting things about life in general. People are really, I think we've sort of touched on it before, but people are so hesitant about change. And, because it's quite often it's sort of a step outside the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And but I guess what James is more referring to as the slow burning sort of change that just sort of happens naturally because of options that you take that just dramatically it's like when you look at those maps where they have it's like the veins in a body where it's like one of those like video games where if you make this decision then this will branch off into here and this will branch off to here and here and here, and obviously life would be quite boring if you sort of just stayed on a linear path. And
I can't, honestly, there have been so many times even in the last 6-7 years that I'm like, right, that's it, I've got my life sorted, I know where I'm going and what I'm doing, and here's sort of the life plan and here's what it's mapped out. And that's changed dramatically a number of times within there, where you all of a sudden you're like, now I'm doing something completely different than I thought I was going to be doing, or I'm in a completely different place than I thought I was going to be, or you know, that sort of stuff. And it is exciting, and I do think that it lends an air of like I think there are two ways of looking at it, right? So you can either look at change in terms of, oh God, I can't control this sort of stuff, and that's freaky, and that's you know, change can be hard because, again, as you said, like sometimes you have to like let go of stuff that's familiar, and that's really hard. But at the same time, you can also look at it and turn around and go, well, it doesn't matter how bad things are now.
Yeah.
You know, who knows where I'm going to be in a year's time? Who knows where I'm going to be in 2 years' time? Like, my life could be completely different, and I will look back on this and go, wow, like I never would have picked.
No,
like,
some of the worst circumstances can lead to the best outcomes in the long term future.
Absolutely, and sometimes change is really good because sometimes you remove. Sometimes you remove some of those toxic things from your life.
Absolutely,
so, you know, things that at the time seem really good or are really important to you, and then, you know, when you sort of step away from them or you move away from those sorts of things, you suddenly go,
you realize, you get perspective. And I think that happens to all of us, is that we become very familiar with our setting or surrounding, no matter what you do in life. And you get very settled, and you start to, you know, you sort of operate in a bubble. And it then becomes very difficult for you to actually look at things impartially in your life, which need change. And sometimes, in order to actually acknowledge what you need changing in your life, you need to take a step back and actually put that in perspective. And sometimes you'll come to that realization yourself. Sometimes other people, if you're lucky enough, you'll have, you know, friends and family and support that will actually say, look, is this really what you want to be doing? Because it seems to cause you a lot of grief, or you know, or you might get it the other way around. Of course, we have to say, you know, you seem to really be enjoying this. You know, that's great. So it's change is scary because you're changing familiar. But it can be one of the best things. I mean, we've certainly had a huge amount of change in the last sort of several years.
Oh yeah,
especially
massive.
Massive.
Oh my God, massive. But I mean, even like or burnout. Burnout pushes you to change too. Where you're just like, I can't continue in the way that I'm going, and so I have to make some changes. So don't be afraid of change, because change can be really good, and you know, change is good. Embrace change. So I think and you get to that point too where you can turn back and go, no, actually, this is good. I'm in a good space now.
Absolutely.
I'm good where I am. I'm good with what I'm doing, and I don't need that in my life anymore, or that's changed into something else, or you know, that sort of stuff. And we've touched a little bit on that with other bits and pieces that we've talked about in terms of burnout, and in terms of change, and in terms of you know, that sort of thing. And change doesn't always mean that you have to completely give something up. It can just be that you go about doing something in a very different way. Or that you look at how you approach that in a really different way. Or that, you know, because we tend to think that what we're doing now is the best way we could be doing it, or the only way we could be doing it. And that's not always true. Like I think quite often there are solutions to problems that we just don't look at, that we don't think of, because they're, you know, we sort of think of them as being too hard, or we think of them as
there's an aspect of fear there, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Or, you know, they're just too out there, or nobody else has done it, or you know, here's all the reasons why that won't work, and we sort of push ourselves back into the bubble that we're in, even when that's bad. Like
like what you were saying about just changing things. So for example, your first instinct may be scorched earth. You know, scorched earth policy. So, you know, you're going to completely destroy that. You know,
burn, baby, burn.
Like completely destroy. But like James was saying, sometimes you just need to slightly shift track a little bit. And approach it in a different way, because quite often it will be your first instinct to completely go in the opposite direction. Because quite often when we make decisions about change, we're not necessarily, and if you look back at all the changes you've made and try to remember the headspace you were in, you're not necessarily being 100% rational. And that's okay, as long as you can sort of, you make sure that when you make a decision of change, that you know 100% that's what you want to do, and you're not just doing it as an emotional response to something. So you've got to and I think that's important too. And don't feel like you need to completely.
So I tend to be a scorched earther. I do tend to be a scorched earther, and I think it has to do with how I end up with change for me. Like so, for me, generally, I am somebody that, bizarrely, as much as I sit there and go, change can be a good thing, I am somebody who struggles with change, like with big change. And like for me, it's like in the past, and I'm trying to be better at this, but like for me, it builds and builds and builds and builds, and I kind of hang on and get burnt out and get angry and get upset and all of those sorts of things, and it builds and builds and builds and builds, and it sort of gets to a crisis point. And when it gets to that crisis point, I suddenly go, that's it, and I change everything. Like everything changes
when it's
like,
already
all
boiling
in
over.
one go. Like I change like absolutely everything, and that's not necessarily the best way to go about doing things. I'm trying to be a bit more aware of especially negative influences in my life. And I spent quite a bit of time on my own over the last year and a bit, and that was quite good for me to sort of go, actually, what is it that I really want from life? And manage to sort of get rid of a whole heap of negative things or within my life, or things that were upsetting me. I'm not saying they're inherently negative, but they were negative for me in my life. And I've been it's been funny, like, because I've been really cagey about letting things like that back in. Like, if you know what I mean, like I start to go, actually no.
Well, I
don't need to deal with that.
Until you've been truly independent, you don't necessarily get the time or the experience of actually having to address that.
Some reflection space.
Reflection space and stuff, and that can be the best thing for someone. And I've been there as well. And it's and I think it's really important that in order to know what you truly want, it needs to be from you, like truly from you, and no other sort of. I mean, obviously, when you're in a relationship and things, you work together and stuff. But I mean, from a perspective of change, that's quite important.
And we talked about this a little bit before, like we talked about a bit in the Kindery video, like what was your favorite age and that sort of stuff. And if we're not talking about like biological age or whatever, like if we're just talking about what's your favorite time, I actually feel like, and I think you're probably reasonably similar, I actually feel like right now is probably me living the best life that I've ever lived, if you know what I mean, like
100%.
Of everything. Like I finally feel like I've got the balance with a lot of stuff right. That again, got rid of a lot of those negative things that were really affecting me. That sort of stuff, and I feel, and who knows, in 3 years' time, my life will probably be completely different, and we'll have this conversation again.
I mean, we only have to
believe that it was like, we
only have to look back 3 years. It's completely different. Completely different.
We wouldn't have picked that. We'd have been here.
No,
you lovely people.
No, absolutely not.
Doing all of this stuff.
No,
which has been really cool. It's been really cool for us creatively and all of that sort of stuff. So
it's been
awesome. Well, I think that's about us for change. So embrace change. Change is good. Change is not bad. But it just hit home to us a little bit when we had some friends and family and stuff back, and just how much all of our lives have changed over the last couple of years, like quite drastically changed, and it's nice to catch up with people again and sort of be like,
and when you come back together, it's sort of like it feels it's the same people. But just maybe more confident, or and it was really nice. It was really nice to have that.
Weirdly, it's like re-meeting people as adults. Like I know that's a weird thing to say because people are adults already, but like it's like re-meeting somebody and going, that's right, that was that was cool, that was great. Awesome, cool. So Uncanny Valley. So I have a couple of things for Uncanny Valley. This week. So there are a couple of weird, interesting things. That I found uncanny, if you will. So I'm going to get the first one up here when my phone loads it. But I'm keen for your opinion on both of these things because I think these are both things that require, shall we say, discussion. Come on, you can do it.
Hopefully my brain's up for it today.
All right, here we go. So this article is daughter explains brutal obituary she wrote for her father. Okay. So everyone is entitled to a few nice words at the funeral, as the adage goes. Normally this is a non-issue, so sort of, whenever people die, that sort of stuff, we tend to wax a little bit lyrical about, their lives, about, all of that sort of stuff. So this particular daughter wrote an obituary for her father who died, and it's pretty brutal. So this is in the United States. So here's the obituary. So the obituary reads, Leslie Ray Popeye Charping was born in Galveston, Texas on November the 20th, 1942, and passed away January the 30th, 2017, which was 29 years longer than expected and much longer than he deserved. Leslie battled with cancer in his later years and lost this battle, and ultimately due to being the horse's ass he was known for. He leaves behind 2 relieved children, a son, Leslie Roy Chirping, and daughter Sheila Smith, along with 6 grandchildren and countless other victims, including an ex-wife, relatives, friends, neighbours, doctors, nurses, and random strangers. At a young age, Leslie quickly became a model example of bad parenting combined with mental illness and a complete commitment to drinking, drugs, womanizing, and being generally offensive. Leslie enlisted to serve in the Navy, but not so much in a brave and patriotic way, but more as a part of a plea deal to escape sentencing on criminal charges. While enlisted, Leslie was the Navy boxing champion and went on to sufficiently embarrass his family and country by spending the remainder of his service in the Balboa Mental Health Hospital, receiving much needed mental health care services. Leslie was surprisingly intelligent. However, he lacked ambition and motivation to do anything other than being reckless, wasteful, squandering the family savings, and fantasizing about get-rich-quick schemes. Leslie's hobbies included being abusive to his family, expediting trips to heaven for the beloved family pets, and fishing, which he was less skilled with than previously mentioned. Leslie's life served no other purpose. He did not contribute to society or serve his community, and he possessed no redeeming qualities beside quick-witted sarcasm, which was amusing during his sober days. With Leslie's passing, he will be missed only for what he never did, being a loving father, husband, and good friend. No services will be held, there will be no prayers for eternal peace, and no apologies to the family he tortured. Leslie's remains will be cremated and kept in the barn until Ray, the family donkey's wood shavings, run out. Leslie's passing proves that evil does in fact die, and hopefully marks a time of healing and safety for all.
Wow. I get the feeling they didn't like him very much. I've got a couple of things to say.
I get that feeling too. I thought you might.
First of all,
so
the first thing I want to address, just quickly, I take issue with the fact that she made a point of saying that he embarrassed the family by spending a lot of his time in a mental health institute.
Yeah,
that really bothers me.
Worried me a little bit.
Because at first I thought, okay, it sounds like he was an abusive person. That aside, because she twice mentions mental illness as if it's a demonizing quality,
yes,
which is screwed up to say the least and very backwards.
Yeah.
That aside, we do, as you were saying, we do when people die, and this is typically Western funerals. Yeah. It's typically quite an English thing, is that we do tend to quite fondly eulogize people even if they were awful.
Yeah.
And one thing I've always liked about Māori funerals is that people tend to be very honest. So you get people standing up, like if people didn't like this person at funerals, they stand up and say it, and that's etiquette.
Yeah,
that's completely accepted. Yeah. But if someone stands up and says, "Well, actually, I thought this person was an asshole," that's fine. And actually, having a more balanced, realistic view of someone, we do this a lot when people pass away. Is that suddenly people start to get a bit. They get so caught up in the fact that someone's passed away that they tend to sort of pass over the darker sort of side of people. Yeah. It's interesting. In this case, I don't know the person. If it genuinely, if he abused people and was really as horrible as this person says, doesn't get a chance to defend himself.
Well, the other thing is that whenever I was reading this, I did sit there and I think I wonder how much, I mean, she does mention mental illness a couple of times. I wonder whether this man was truly mentally ill, in which case needed some help, or whether this was sort of I mean, it sounded like he had problems with alcohol, had problems with, lots of things, and was generally probably not a very all-round nice kind of guy. But how much of that was actual mental problems or whatever, because if it was mental problems, then you kind of go, well,
if the reason, I mean, of course, and those things can be a result of mental illness, but you kind of wonder which came. And the thing, at the end of the day, people are complicated, and I mean, her saying, calling him truly evil, it's like, well, I mean, thing is, we don't know him, and she could very well be right, and I'm willing to believe that he was awful and abusive. I just thought that really.
It's quite harsh.
Struck me really.
I thought it was quite a harsh thing to do.
Yeah, but if he truly was like that, then you know what? I mean, fair enough.
When I die, can you write me a truly horrific obituary?
Yeah.
Can you just like make a whole heap of stuff up?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do the same for you.
Cool.
It'll
That'd
just
be great.
like
That'd
just
be great.
absolute
and just ridiculous things that sort of aren't sort of relevant.
Yeah. And I kind of want people to read it and just kind of be like it has that like the claims just gradually get more and more ridiculous
and bizarre, like things like I don't know, like James's favorite color was fuchsia.
Yeah.
Well, something like James's favorite color was pathetically fuchsia. And the same shade of his awful I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
I want
like bizarre things.
I want it to get like the stories to get in the obituary to get increasingly unbelievable until people are just like this. What? And so nobody has any idea what to believe.
I'm going to put that you were responsible for the invention of minions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so we do not mourn his passing.
I'm glad you thank me now and not after I wrote it.
You're like, actually, I've already banged one out. It's sitting over here. All right, okay. Second article is another twist on something a bit bizarre. That you know, I'd kind of like from you. What would you do? Yeah, because this is pretty cold blooded, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So
cool. We're on a
cold-blooded too. Yeah, it's a cold-blooded too. Yeah. So, this story is about a wedding. Right? So, early in the morning, the groom had found out a dirty secret about his soon-to-be wife. Hours before they were due to tie the knot, from multiple sources he received evidence that she'd been cheating on him with various men. The worst part was, they were his friends. With his mind blown, the groom wasn't quite sure how to feel. His heart was broken. He couldn't quite believe what he was hearing. He was about to marry this woman. He felt an oversensitive wave of emotion that he'd never quite felt before. He was angry, but had to keep composed, right? Revenge was on his mind. And he felt the urge to serve it in a creative and cold-blooded way. It's what she deserved. Her unfaithfulness was about to get its comeuppance, but in the meanwhile, he needed to remain calm, smile and wave. Although he couldn't bear to look at his wife, his plan for revenge required him to go through with the ceremony. He kept his cool and pretended to his wife and their guests that everything was fine.
Is this real?
Yep. It was at the dinner that this revenge would take centre stage. With the men his wife had slept with attending the ceremony with their own spouses, he came up with the perfect plan to expose their secrets for good. He wanted to see his wife's face drop, as undoubtedly it was going to. As part of his revenge, he had to find out whether cheating men were planned to be seated for the dinner. So before the ceremony, he snuck off on his own, went round the dinner plates, sticking a red dot on the plates of the name cards where the men were. If this was going to work, he had to keep a straight face. They were about to get the shock of their lives in front of everyone. As the dinner guests took their seats, the groom announced he wanted to say a few words. Keeping a straight face, he asked all the guests, "I want to play a game." He asked everyone to turn over their plates and see if there was a little dot on the bottom. If there was, he asked all of those that had won to remain standing. Guests were confused. What the hell's going on? So the majority of guests sat down. Those who remained standing looked around at the other men who were there too. You could see the sheer nerves dawn upon their faces. There was a sudden realization of what was happening. The man stood awkwardly, and his wife's mouth was wide open. Everyone in the room was confused, staring anxiously at the groom, waiting for him to continue his speech. So he went on. He announced to the room that everyone who was standing up had been having an affair with his wife. In some odd way, you could tell he was enjoying every second of it. They were being exposed, and he'd done it spectacularly. With everyone stunned in their seats, he had one more thing to say. He then went on to explain that he was going to get an annulment that afternoon, and that he no longer wanted to be married to his bride. He went through with the ceremony just so he could see the pure shock on her face with the men she'd been cheating on him with staring gauntly. The bride and both their parents started crying. He turned to his mortified wife, looked at her, and then exited the room. There was stunned silence. Nobody quite knew what to say. Although the wedding party wasn't exactly the liveliest and most enjoyable of nights, it was certainly one that none of the guests would ever forget.
If it's true, because it sounds like one of those things that someone's like made up as a
no, it was true. So this actually comes from a story that was on Graham Norton's On the Red Couch. So somebody was talking, was actually telling the story because they were the guest at this particular wedding. This wasn't like I have a friend of a friend. Yeah. It was I was a guest at this wedding. He wasn't one with a red dot in his plate. But
I mean, first of all, fantastic work to the groom for the orchestration of that, and for finding the time to go out and get ready. I know how busy and stressful wedding days can be, so fantastic job at doing that. Well orchestrated, pretty good execution.
It's pretty cold-blooded, though. I don't know. Like, I don't know that I could control myself. Enough.
No way.
Throughout the day to get through the wedding and stuff, to get to the dinner and the speeches.
The annulment. Like, so he's gonna come across as a divorced.
Well, no, it's annulled, so he's not divorced. So I think it's quite difficult in New Zealand to get an annulment. So like. I think now I could be wrong, but I think you have to prove that there was some impediment to you actually being granted the marriage license.
Oh, okay.
So like you find out that you're related, or that the other person is already married, or one of those things that stop you from actually, from actually getting married in the first place. But maybe here it's easier to get an annulment. You just kind of go, we're annulling the marriage, and that's it. But I don't know that I could keep it.
No,
like, I don't know that I could keep it cool. Like if I found that out,
that's why I was kind of thinking. It sounds like one of the. It sounds like a made up story. Like someone's made up just to be like, oh, like get back at. Like maybe someone wanted to like build up this fantasy in their head because they wanted to get back at their ex or something. Like, but if that's real,
well, the guy was apparently
it sounds
there.
Like it is. That's fantastic work, and I think you kind of think like. I feel like no. This is one of those cases where I was going to say like, do we think that's like okay, like to a whole family to expose?
That's my next question.
Yeah,
is like
is it ethically okay
like,
to do that?
Yeah, like are you? Like I mean, I suppose you could make the argument that you were upset and you wanted to get back at them and you wanted to in some way publicly expose. Like,
and we have to keep in mind as well that these were his friends.
Yeah.
They were all his friends. They weren't just randoms, and there were people invited to the wedding who had spouses themselves.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I personally have no sympathy whatsoever for them. Or the
efficient. It's an efficient way of sort of outing everybody.
And taking ownership of that.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'd be interested to know whether you guys think that's ethical, to sort of essentially ruin a lot of lives at once. I have to say though, like there is a part of me that's like,
good on you.
Like, I mean,
but I also like. I mean, I sort of
pretty
also.
awful.
I also have to like sort of ask the question too. If you're sort of cheating on your partner with that many other people,
how do you manage?
Why are you getting married?
Like
surely at some point you're kind of going, you know what, maybe this is not such a great idea. Like, maybe I shouldn't be getting married if I'm cheating on you with multiple other people. Like, maybe marriage isn't such a great thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Again, from the flip side, from her point of view, I don't understand how you could go through that with that. I don't understand how if you were cheating all the time, you'd be like, yeah, let's just get married. That seems like
I think from a moral standpoint as well, it was multiple friends and stuff. And I feel like you'd have to be fairly, like, she obviously didn't give a shit. Like, she didn't care.
Yeah.
But
how bad for her parents and stuff. That'd be so
that's
embarrassing.
The thing I was thinking of. Oh my goodness, her parents.
It's so embarrassing.
And they'd be so angry because I mean, usually, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But quite often, like parents will sort of contribute to our wedding.
Yeah.
Or family will. Or something. And could you imagine being those parents who had contributed money to this wedding only for this to happen? And like, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Go. So that brings an a reasonably interesting uncanny valley.
Very interesting.
A couple of different interesting moral quandaries. So let us know in the comments.
Actually.
Let us know in the comments what you think. Is it morally right to sort of have a dig at somebody in their obituary? So is it do you think that that's something you should be able to do? You should be able to just be like, no, actually, I'm not going to wax lyrical about this person. I'm going to say exactly what I think about them. And do you think if you found out that your partner was cheating on you, that you would go through such a public way of exposing what they've done? So let us know in the comments what you think or what you would do. All right, 30-second waffle.
30-second waffle.
Now it's been so long, I have no idea.
Can you remember
who
whose
went
turn
first? I can't remember. Oh yeah. Okay, here we go.
Rock.
Paper, scissors, rock. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Up to you.
You can go first.
I can go first. All right. Cool. Dun, dun, dun. This should be interesting. It's been a while since I've had to think about some of these things. So, this is a Discord question from Esoterica Superfan. Oh, good God. Why High School Musical is the pinnacle of musical theatre, and nothing in the past, present, and future will ever top it. This is where I have to make a confession and say that I've never actually seen High School Musical.
Missed out on greatness.
High School Musical is the pinnacle of musical theatre, because how many other musicals do you know that spawned multiple sequels? And not only multiple sequels, multiple very successful film sequels. This musical single-handedly built a franchise. It brought a whole heap of young people to musical theatre in a way that no other show has ever done. I don't see any other musical building a similar franchise, building a similar audience base in the same way that High School Musical did.
That's actually a very good answer. Very good answer. And you know,
because it certainly wasn't the quality of the musical.
No, I can barely remember. I've seen it. I've actually seen a few of them. Can't remember them.
I've seen bits and pieces of them, but like I was sort of like it has nothing in there that appeals to me.
No,
just nothing that appeals to me at all.
No,
all right,
no.
Your turn.
All right.
I really hope you get my one. There's one in there for me, and I'm really sort of hoping that you're going to pick it
out. This is from Ted Star from Discord.
Okay, excellent. Okay, what is it?
Why James should not be able to talk about music.
Well, that's an easy answer. That's not going to take 30 seconds. I don't know.
James shouldn't be able to talk about music because he's mastered one instrument, the violin, and so, you know, at a push you could say maybe he could talk about violin-based music. But I think on the whole, I think that if you play the violin in your favourite band's Insane Clown Posse, then you have absolutely no right to judge. It's obviously rubbish. I would like
the
to funny thing about it,
my favourite band is not Insane Clown Posse. But yeah, okay.
I just the whole time I was like, you know, James has actually been like musical director and vocal coach of shows that I've done, so I hope he knows about music.
Well, that's only because you don't know music, do you?
I don't know music. No, yeah, I don't know about music.
You don't know about music?
I don't know how music works.
I've been legitimately asked that question before. Yeah. Right, okay, go.
We can laugh now.
Oh no, it's my turn.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. I was getting another one for you. I was getting all excited. Right, okay. This is a Discord question from Esoterica Superfan again. Why mumble rap is the best and purest form of both music and art as a whole? Okay, me being the big mumble rap fan that I am. Mumble rap is the pinnacle of the genre and the pinnacle of art, because quite often with songs, the problem with songs is that the lyrics actually pull you out of the song. So it's too much direct communication between the artist and the audience. Mumble rap, because the words are indistinguishable and you can't actually hear what they're saying, what's happening is the vocalist becomes an instrumentalist in the same way that everybody else is. It allows you as an audience member to have your own feelings, your own stamp on what the song really means.
Fantastic answer. Fantastic answer. Oh, sorry, should I say? Do you know a single mumble rap artist?
No. Have I heard some mumble rap? Yes. Actually, I don't mind mumble rap. It's all right, but it wouldn't be the sort of thing I'd sit there and go like, you know what I need to do? I want to. Yeah.
I think it's one of the worst things about
the only thing that jumped into my head whenever I was talking about, because there are some bands who write rubbish lyrics, to songs. Red Hot Chili Peppers jumps to mind.
Yeah, they're pretty
just rubbish lyrics.
And instrumentally, they're all incredibly talented.
Yeah, that's right. And you just go, actually, you could do away with the lyrics. Yeah. Okay, cool. Your turn.
One more.
Excellent.
Some of my favourite bands you can't understand the lyrics, like Sigur Rós and My Bloody Valentine, and sometimes
Bob
Radiohead.
Bob Dylan, you get every 3 or 4.
Do you? Chinese diplomat standing on a cat.
There you go. That's
mumble rap.
That's perfect. Mumble rap.
Yeah. This is from Discord. This is from O'Muffins.
Okay. What is it?
Why? What? Something juice. What juice?
Why? What? We're going to a third party here to read this.
Why prune juice should be served on Air New Zealand flights.
Prune juice.
Fantastic
Not even prunes.
work. Fantastic work.
Prune juice.
Prune juice should be served on Air New Zealand flight, and specifically Air New Zealand, no other air flight company. Simply because one of the biggest problems with flying is that you become very dehydrated at a high altitude. The thing about prune juice is that you get the good, nice taste of prunes. You're not going to hurt your mouth. You're not going to become so hydrated that you need to use the bathroom, which is a really big problem when you're, several thousand feet in the air. And prune juice would be a surprise. For all I know, it might be good. And that's exciting. That's really exciting. It'd be interesting.
You're not going to become so hydrated that going to the bathroom will be a problem. I love it.
That's a legitimate problem for me. I went to the bathroom
too hydrated.
twice. It was 3 times.
When?
During...
You're gonna have to give us You're gonna have to give us a period of time.
4?
I love that. I did, didn't I? 3 or 4 times.
During Infinity Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, 3 times.
I went to the bathroom. I don't know if I said this on the podcast.
Yeah, you have, but that's all right. Yeah.
I
went to the bathroom 3 times.
Prune juice. We'll have to try that. Actually,
I'm not keen.
That's exactly why we should.
Beer of the week. Next podcast, beer of the week. Prune juice.
Can you get prune juice?
I don't know.
Is that a thing?
Apparently, producer Caroline's telling us it's a thing.
It's a thing.
So, there you go.
You go in New Zealand.
Yeah,
you can have that one for free. It'll save on those medical bills you're having to pay from cutting people's mouths open with your glass lollies.
Glass lollies.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us here on the podcast again. Thank you. Check out the Kinder Egg video if you haven't seen the Kinder Egg video. It was what we were doing rather than recording a podcast last week. But it's nice to be back. It's nice to be back having a chat.
Brush off the cobwebs.
Absolutely. So make sure you check out the streams coming up. We've got a new game for Anthony and I to be playing, and obviously checking out Dishonored with me and Shadow of the Colossus, with Anthony. I do apologize for the Xbox crashing yesterday into the stream. It just turned itself off. It just gave up. It just gave up. It had enough. It was just like, no.
Do you reckon it's getting stroppy because it knows we're playing the PlayStation?
Must be.
Yeah, we always talk bad about the Xbox.
Yeah. It's just sitting there and feeling bad. It's like, fine. Screw you, I'm just going to turn off. So I apologise for the abrupt cut off to the stream, but...
he's saying that's how he wanted to end it.
Just... Yeah.
He was just being really rude.
Yeah, just had enough of it all. Awesome, so thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you online.
Catch you later. Happy birthday, the Queen.